Pay your people better. May 22nd, 2026. Smells good in here. Those onions have been cooking for almost 2 days. Slow cooked onions take a long, long time to actually cook. Been going on, like this thing has been literally running since about 10 o'clock p.m. 2 days ago. And it is currently 1:08 p.m. on Friday. I was looking for my voter registration, or not my voter registration, my vote by mail ballot. I don't have one. I only have 2 sample ballots for some reason. So, chances are I'm going to have to actually go to fucking somewhere and actually vote, which is going to suck. Because I was like, I wanted to just write my stuff in and put it in the mailbox and be done with it. But I literally cannot find anything about it anywhere. And it's not like I have a bunch of stuff that would be in the way. So either I accidentally threw it out somehow, which has been known to happen in my life, or it never got mailed to me for whatever reason. So I didn't have any pizza yesterday because that hot dog filled me up too much. And then by the time that like when the dough was room temp, I was like, I'm still too full. So I just decided to throw the dough back in the fridge. And then, yeah. Made Muddy Buddies too. I had effectively 3 of these. I've emptied one of them now. They're just too sweet. I wanted it because I was like, I don't remember why I was thinking about it, what brought it up or anything. And I was just like, well, let's try to make it out. I've got most of the ingredients. I mean, it's not like I use powdered sugar for much anyway. But it requires like 2 cups of powdered sugar to cover everything. And, just like trying to get the peanut butter, chocolate butter mix to be like liquid enough to pour over everything was a pain in the ass too. So, I think what had happened is I put the vanilla in at the wrong time, and I think it may have caused some seizing to go on it, so I had to keep cooking it. And then that just kind of like, I think it was at the point where I was like, I should have put the vanilla in sooner before it was able to start seizing and thickening, because chocolate can be finicky like that. That's why like tempering chocolate can be a pain in the ass, because like you're trying to warm it up slowly to a specific temperature, and then you got to bring it back down slowly to a specific temperature as well. And so I'm not going to ever deal with trying to temper chocolate. I don't have the patience for that shit. But I mean, they still worked out. They still ended up working more or less like you might expect. But they're just a little sweet. I mean, very sweet. I use semi-sweet and milk chocolate. Definitely should have just used semi-sweet. It would have cut the sweet down. But, it is what it is. I figured, because like dealing with this has been an interesting event in of itself. So like, let's get another view in here, right? So we've got very, very close to jammy onions, right? It has the distinct caramelized onion smell going on. Like, it looks and smells good. Now, what I'm thinking I might do, because I wasn't sure how this was going to play out when I initially chopped them up, I just kind of cut them into just reasonable sized chunks, just toss them in there. Had I gone for a finer cut, it probably would have been a faster cook. But then on top of it, now I think I have to actually also kind of go into it and cut them up some more. because some of the pieces are still quite large. And that may have been the main issue as to why it took as long as it did. Obviously, I'm like slow cooking it, which is part of it. Although I moved it up to high on the first after the first day, and what I've done so far is like while I'm awake and I'm in the unit, I have the lid off and I'm just letting it evaporate any additional moisture. Because you wanna reduce as much of the moisture as possible. But while I'm sleeping, I'll have the lid on, just so it's there's no issues regarding that. And then it's also kind of testing the capabilities of the cooker and everything. Which I mean, it's not like it's not like it's gonna have a difficult time doing something like this or anything. But it's still like. I think the main thing is I need to learn how to properly prep the onions first. And I already know how to cut onions and all that kind of stuff. It's just been a while. I mean, hell, you can also just use one of these bad boys if you really feel like it. Just stick it in there and just start shredding. You're not gonna have a fun time. You're gonna really feel it in your eyes. That's for sure. But, like, I had been thinking about it, and then I saw a video on SciShow about, like, the onion guillotine. I was like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. So, it got me thinking about that, and then I might just use the immersion blender attachment. So, I've got, this mixer here, right? And on the back of it, it's got this little flappy deal open. And I've got... The reason it has that protective thing on there is because of the blade for the immersion blender attachment. So, I might use that just for the fuck of it. Be like, okay, we're done. I might even go into it. Screw it, let's do it now. Let's just do it and see what happens. Move the scale out of the way here. Because what I'm thinking I'm going to do, like I said before, is I think I'm just going to take one of these, just the whole package, dump it in with it. I'll mix in some cottage cheese, maybe a little bit of milk, just to kind of loosen it up a bit. Because, I mean, at this point, it's pretty close to done. If not already done. But let's chop it up and, give it the rest of the nearly 3 hours to cook down and see what happens between now and then. And then, I could do the dip version, if you will. Alright. And so the funny thing is like, usually, you'd put your blenders, your blender attachments, mixer attachments, like let's say in here, for instance, right? And then on this one it has the little guard there, so that one goes into the big hole. Oh wow, it actually covers those up. I didn't realize that. So you can't even use that. And then normally you'd use this to, turn it on, blah, blah, blah. Well, this way, you turn it on, and I think this helps lock it, and then you use this, which would normally eject it, to actually keep this going and spinning. It's a very fascinating piece of kit, I will admit. And I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad that I have an immersion blender attachment. One thing I will do, just get a spoon and scrape this off, because it's got a lot on it. It's cooked onto it. Which is also a good sign that, the onions have been, like, really getting sticky. They're not loose by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. Turn you on. Lock it. blend it to the point of like liquid. I'm just cutting it up. Like some of it's going to be a little bit more liquidy than others. But I'm just essentially dicing it to the best of my ability. So now I'm going to turn it off. And boom. Scrape off all that goodness. Get it out from out of there. Oops. Don't throw anything at me because I want to keep it in there. Alright. Now, rinse that off in there. I'm good to go. Still have to wash it, but you know. Alright. Cool. Now, I can show you. Looks a little bit more chunky and not as like giant pieces. So then I'll be able to like throw it on my pizza, for instance, because I want to do that. Pizza dough is really close to room temp. Like we're getting like maybe 15-20 minutes and it'll be good. Because like you can kind of feel just a little bit of that coolness. Like it's still gonna feel cooler, but it's not gonna have it's not gonna really have any of that cold. That's how I've been able to determine if the, and I'll even set a timer script. So clear this. $17 minutes. So in 17 minutes, I'll start prepping this thing and then, you know, getting ready for making some pizza for lunch. One of the things also that I need to do, especially soon, is go to the La Brea tar pits, because that thing is closing down for like 2 years in July. Like just after July 4th, on July 7th, I think he said it was the last day. And then they're going to be like renovating the shit out of the place for 2 solid years. And I'm just like, I need to go there. I haven't been yet, ever. I've lived in this city. I've lived in the LA area for 14 years now. I got here in January of 2012. And I have never been to the La Brea tar pits. I went to the California Science Center once. I've been to, I think, the Griffith Observatory once. I mean, I am a museum guy. Like, that is a thing that I am interested in. I went to, last year around this time, when I went to Long Beach, because while I was at the shelter and I still had a little bit of money left over from my job that, you know, which is where most of my savings has gone into this whole eclipse ordeal. I was just getting so sick of that place, and the showers there was no warm water in any of the showers. And I was like, and it had been 3 days and I hadn't showered. I haven't had a shower in 3 days now. That's why I keep using the same shirt, because I don't want to dirty up a clean one. And like now it's a little different. I mean, the water pressure is a problem in and of itself, which I got to get taken care of. But, because I mean, sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Like right now, it's kind of like pathetic. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's still not good. I guess since I've done that, let's go ahead and mix this in here now. Yeah, now it's just a little bit more like almost like a stew. But like closer to soup-like consistency because of all the smaller chunks. So yeah, last year in early April, I went to Long Beach because I needed a fucking shower. And so I rented a hotel for 2 days. Because I was like, I don't want to fucking be here right now. I don't want to be in the shelter. I don't want to be dealing with this lack of this warm water or anything. And then I went to the the aquarium in the Pacific, which was great. What I didn't know was, and it was the reason why like my second day was more expensive than my first day, and why the hours at the aquarium were shorter than typical, is because they were having the Long Beach Grand Prix. I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't want to deal with it. I don't really care about the loud. Because, like, it's loud when you go to car races. Like, people don't talk about how absurdly loud car races are. They are insanely loud. And while I do not think they are the reason that I have tinnitus, I would say just don't go. But if you're going to go, make sure, don't get the little squishy foam earplugs. It's going to fuck with your ability to hear. It's not going to like ruin your hearing or anything. It's just going to make it hard for you to hear voices, especially voices. What you want to do, spend like 20, 30 bucks and get what are known as attenuating earplugs. And they're like a 3-layer. So they look like, see if we can find one real quick. Where'd you go? Oh, let's go over here and grab. So I've got some earbuds, right, from Soundcore. And so they kind of start with this, and there's like 3 layers of these, and they're just like right behind each other, right? This was a tip that I got from one of my professors. He was our live sound reinforcement professor. He's the guy who helps set up like concerts and shit, and helps run the audio for those concerts while they're running. He's the one that communicates with the band members and everything when they can't hear themselves or they're trying to hear certain things in their ears or whatever. And, you know, they have what are known as IEMs, in-ear monitors, which is essentially what we're all using when we do that. But theirs are just better quality, and they'll even get like a mold of their inner ear, so, you know, like the inner cavity of the ear, so they can actually hear it better and not hear everything else. And so they can monitor better as well. And those things run thousands of dollars when you start getting custom ones, you know, easily $5,000+ for a pair, from what he was saying. But he's been in the industry forever. Mr. Dietrich, great guy. Very dry humor, like extremely dry humor. I could pick up on it every now and then, but it was still difficult at times. It's like, you know that groan you feel when you hear a dad joke, especially from your own dad. I never got that from my own dad because he was an asshole. He was always trying to, you know, he would have been ripe for the whole manosphere bullshit. But, you know, it's just like the stereotypical, like the one that you'll see in movies, TV shows and stuff, and you're just like, oh. He was like that, but more dry. It was okay. It was bad at first, but then once I got accustomed to him over the semester, and I was doing like 3 or 4 classes at a time, it was rough, because I was doing like 4 classes a day, I think, and he was my last one of the day. And it was like 9 o'clock at night when it started. Fortunate thing is I lived 10 minutes away on, you know, via bike ride. So it wasn't a problem getting to and from school, but it was a lot of work. But I was at school for 12 hours a day. It was rough. So, but yeah, his advice is to get attenuating earplugs. You know, whatever, I'm gonna look them up right now just so I can like title the name of this video. Yeah, you want to get yourself some kind of attenuating earplug, because you don't, it's like the normal squishy foam ones, they're cheap, you can get a ton of them, right? No problem. If you need to just pass out a fuck ton, go ahead, go for it. But if you're getting them for yourself, and especially if you know you'll be experiencing numerous concerts, you should definitely get attenuating earplugs. I have no clue as to what brand. I would just recommend, maybe probably don't go over $50 because at that point you're probably getting, diminishing returns. Unless you are getting a specific brand from somebody who knows what they're doing and knows what they're talking about. Like, you are talking to a person who works in the industry and they understand. But even then, like, a lot of people who they'll pass on information about stuff that's like, knowledge in the industry, but it's only just passed down knowledge, and it's not really like, it's not tested information. This is a thing that like Adam Ragusa has been doing on his channel, especially in his earlier stages where he was a little bit more aggro in the way that he approached it. Obviously, it was done for shits and giggles and clicks. But like, he was doing it with the intent to challenge, the wisdom, the stuff that was constantly passed down. It's like salting your eggs before you mix them isn't going to toughen them up or anything to any distinguishable measure. So you don't have to listen to Gordon Ramsay about that. Stuff like that. And so even if they do work in that industry, be wary if whatever the product they're talking about isn't something that is, like, especially if it's super expensive. Like, no average person needs a Neumann mic that costs $3,500 or $3,000, however much it is nowadays. You can get the cheaper Neumann mic that's like the 100, whatever the hell it is, and that's like $1,000. Nobody still needs that microphone. You can get whatever the microphone that Phil DeFranco uses, and that's like $2,500. You don't need an expensive microphone to do what a microphone does. You can get a Shure SM, I think it's 78. I could be wrong, maybe it's 58. I can't remember the numbers, it's been too long. The ball microphone that fucking everybody has, you can use that for literally the rest of your life, as long as you have the proper connector. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this microphone is a hybrid microphone. It is not the Shure that I'm talking about. It's about the same price. It's actually a little cheaper. It's not as good, but that's not a problem. It doesn't have to be that good. This is an Audio-Technica. I think it was like an AT70, something like that. On the back, it has these 3 prongs. Now, it also has USB-C slot. It's great for this, right? So you flip this switch on, and that turns on the internal amplifier that every microphone has to have on some scale. Every other microphone does not have one of these. Usually, unless it's a condenser microphone. Condenser microphones are a little different because of the way that their electronics work. I don't remember exactly why. They just need that extra power no matter what. If it was like this and this was a condenser microphone, it would basically need 2 of these switches because this turns on the amplifier that's inside this microphone. Now, this amplifier is not a fantastic amplifier by any stretch of the imagination. I got this refurbished for $50. It's normally like $70. It's a good microphone though. It's just that, like, it's not one that you're going to be like recording music and shit with, right? But if you go and get the one that kind of looks like this, the ball microphone that fucking everybody uses, that's a Shure SM, I want to say, 58 or something like that. There's a similar one that's like slightly longer, and it doesn't have any, it's wireless. It's literally the same microphone. It just has more technology that's inside it, and it requires batteries so that it can actually be wireless. But this 3-prong situation in the back, this is industry standard. It's the XLR connector. If you connect an XLR cable from this to an interface of some kind, the interfaces generally don't matter, but you can get a cheap one like a Scarlett 2i2 is what I used to use. It'll do everything you need. Because not only will the interface itself have the necessary amplifier that's inside of it, so you can flip the inline amplifier switch on so it'll turn your microphone volume up, because every microphone has to have additional gain. If it doesn't, so here's the thing. The human voice does not output energy like everything else in the realm of sound. It just doesn't do it. Everything else is significantly better at producing greater overall volume. And so you gotta boost it somehow. And so everything has a gain boost for the inline for microphone related stuff. Now you can use, let's say, a Scarlett 2i2, but it only has one inline input, right? So if you want a microphone, you can't use like a guitar, for instance, okay? That interface is specifically intended so that you can connect it like to a computer so that you can record, because you can't record your guitar onto your computer in any meaningful way without a direct, form of, like electrical information, essentially. Because how else would you do it? The microphone that's on board, that's not a good quality microphone. You don't want to do that. Now, let's say with an acoustic microphone, for instance, you could take one of those tiny microphones that they will literally put on the guitar, or maybe they'll put it like on a trombone or a trumpet or whatever. You get one of those, you find out the right area, or they put it on like stringed instruments as well, which is a guitar, of course, but violins, bowstring instruments, if you will. You find the right local spot and you can play it all the time. That's why, but there's a reason why everybody has one that has a cable that sticks out of it. So that information can transmit through the cable, then go into a mixer or an interface or whatever, and then travel to the speakers or to the recording device or what have you. That's why you use an interface. That microphone kind of has an interface. It's just that it's all inside the microphone. Like, I can use that microphone with the USB cable, plug it into my computer, and use it on Twitch. No problem, right? It's better than, let's say, a Blue Yeti or, much of the other blue, like the snowballs and stuff like that, because those things are bulky. They're large. They get in the way. And oftentimes, they're not appropriately directional. That microphone has a cone of pickup because you can't really make everything. So the sort of like basic starting point of picking up sound is omnidirectional, or omni in the microphone world. All right. Then you can start getting directional pickup, and it's just the way that they deal with like the literal physics of the microphone and so many other facets that I don't really know. There's a lot of literal engineering that goes into microphones when it comes to how they pick up stuff. And like then you have like and like the smaller the actual device item is, the actual area, the more directional it likely is going to be. But not always. You can get an Omni mic, the little mouth mics that you'll see, like the cheek mics, those are omnidirectional. Lav mics, the ones they have here, usually on their collar or whatever, those are omnidirectional as well. But those things are usually also really expensive. Like the ones you see on like late night TV shows and stuff like that, those are $700+ microphones. I didn't realize I was talking for that long. But, anywho, if you individually want to get a microphone, get something kind of like that one, it has a hybrid connector, because it'll be good if you get an interface later on. So you can keep the mic as it is, turn on the switch so that it turns on the internal amplifier for your audio. You can use it, plug it into your USB-C or whatever. Do what I do, you can record in like Reaper or what have you. But kind of going back to ear protection, you want to have those, you want to have that attenuation, because that way you can hear more frequency ranges. You can hear the bass, you can hear the treble, and you can hear the highs, and have them all mitigated, attenuated, so that you can still hear them all with reasonable clarity. It's just their general volume is all stamped down. Whereas the foamy ones get rid of the high-end stuff, and you can still hear the low-end stuff. And it just makes it more difficult. But, the reason I brought that up was, car races, stuff like that. If you want to go see Bigfoot at the monster trucks, cool. Get some attenuated earplugs. Don't use the foamy ones if you can avoid it. But yeah, the reason I even brought it up was, again, the fact that the Brea tar pits are going to be closing soon for a while, so I want to do that. I do want to go back to the Griffith Observatory. That might be the better place to go, now that I think about, when it comes to like the potential of acquiring information, because like about solar eclipse related stuff, because I was already starting to kind of write up an email to potentially send off to Destin of Smarter Every Day, because I'd like to get some info about the Iceland eclipse before I go, just in case, just in case I get to that point where, because like I still am gonna go. I've already got the hotel and the flight and everything. But more importantly, it's like I don't know what I'm gonna do when I'm there. I do want to go to the sea monster aquarium that's there, because that seems like it'd be really cool. It's closed currently, but that doesn't mean they won't open when the time comes, because when I'll be going in August is during their peak season. So that's always, that would be nice. Here we go, see the Icelandic Nordic Sea Monster Museum. That just sounds really cool. Like, even if it's not real, it's, it's their history and folklore and the like, which is kind of one of the reasons why I'm going as well. I'm like, I might as well enjoy the country that I'm going to. And so, like, coming back to that point, the reason I was thinking of talking to Destin is because he went to Iceland for his anniversary with his wife. Now, there's some things I'm not going to be able to do. Like, I'm not going to be able to swim between the two continents. It would be cool, but that would also be terrifying. You can scuba dive in the Atlantic Rift. And it's apparently some of the cleanest water in the world. You still shouldn't drink it, because, it's still just straight up natural water, but it's naturally filtered through all the volcanic rock. But there may still be, various toxins, pathogens, etc. Just, you don't want to do that. As just a general rule of thumb, don't drink seawater. So, see, I'm thinking I'm going to put some of this on the pizza as well. Especially since now it's a little bit on this more lightly blended side of things. Yeah, I've got stuff I got to do. I got to do the voting thing, because that's just for the primaries. But nevertheless, the primaries still matter. And then got to hit up the La Brea tar pit at some point. Ideally, when it's not too hot outside. And I should probably go this week, between now and like Wednesday. And the reason why, I think they're closed on Tuesday. They're like closed the first Tuesday of every month, I think. But the reason why is because, like, I'm going to start a physical therapy again next Thursday. And that's just going to tire me out. I'm already pretty tired. I got this weird potential ear infection I got to get taken care of as well. So I'm probably just going to have to go hit the doctor's office tomorrow. If I get up early enough, I'll probably just have to go, just deal with it, hopefully see somebody. And, you know, it's just like, I got stuff I got to take care of. But also, you know, got to see Los Angeles for what it is whenever I can, you know, at least in the museum space of things. The Aquarium of the Pacific was great. I wish I could have stayed longer because I completely missed the outside stuff. I didn't get to see any sharks. I barely saw the stingrays. You know, apparently they have like penguins and shit. But, you know, I was still there. I was listening to the Donkey Kong underwater music most of the time. That was pretty cool. Yeah. I you know, it's just like, in so many ways I feel like I'm retired, but I'm not technically because I'm still only 44. I just wish I was retired. And I think I need to act like I was retired, which means not just sitting around doing nothing, but sitting around doing nothing, being reasonably productive, reasonably, you know, capable, cleaning up, you know, time to time, taking care of myself, going to museums and shit whenever I can, you know, doing the things that I actually like doing. It's just, it takes activation energy to do them. Getting my stretches in, stuff like that, the workouts as needed. Because like when I go downstairs to do workouts, I only do 2 like resistance workouts right now. Just because I don't know to what degree my back injury is. It feels generally better. I need to get my hula hooping going. Should at least do something. Let's do it right now since I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it on camera because it's just too big. I'm just going to try to get a couple of rotations in here. That was better. Still fell, but you know, it was better. Whee! Oh, that was worse. And one more. Okay. Actually, no, one more. I had it too high up. There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, man. All right, well, that's good. But like hula hoop, great for the core. If you can keep it going, keep it going. Do stuff that's fun, you know. When you're, I'm gonna finish on this, just so I can make it work out. When you're exercising, have fun.